SIRUI Aurora 85 1.4 for Nikon Z mount. Let's go. That's a whole lot of bull. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So I want to start off by saying I'm getting over a cold, so bear with me here. I'll do my best to get through this without coughing up a lung, and you'll see me from time to time probably grab a drink of tea to help keep the voice fresh and clear. So let's get into this. I've had the opportunity, or I've been given the opportunity, I should say, to do a review on the SIRUI 85 mm f1.4 Aurora line lens, full frame lens that they have jumped into the full frame lens arena with, in not just for the Sony E mount, which you guys have seen everybody doing a review for that, but for us Nikon shooters, they do have the lens for that as well. And this is my Nikon Z8. So I decided to go out with the wife and hit the Detroit Conservatory, which is recently opened back up after renovations, to get out and do what we do on this channel, which is street photography. And I use this lens basically to do street photography, and told SIRUI that, and SIRUI, I should say, was good with that. Now, after this review, I get to keep the lens, and that's the only thing that's exchanged. And I get to tell you guys my honest opinion about this lens based on my initial review, what I felt is good, what I felt is bad, and hopefully give you guys a better understanding of it as it relates to the Nikon Z mount. Now, as you guys see the images coming across the screen here as I go through this lens, I can tell you right now, if you're going to have a 1.4 lens, I'm going to go shoot it at 1.4 if you're wanting me to review it. And that's what you see coming across with all these images, is every one of them shot at f1.4. Now, I can tell you guys right away, I was blown away with what I would say the reason you're here to watch this video in the first place, specifically if you are a Nikon shooter, which was the image quality. The image quality of this lens for what it costs was mind-boggling at f1.4. How much detail I got in the center of the frame, the wonderful fall off from the subject, blurring out the rest of the image after the subject, and then the slight vignetting on the end, whether you want to call it character or not. I don't get into soap bubbles and all that stuff and chromatic aberrations and things like that, because to me, those are things that help with the characteristics of the lens to help you create your art. And when it comes to street photography on a moody day with rain and everything, dim lit, I was like, this was going to be perfect for me to go out with the Nikon Z8 and run this lens through what I would typically run through when going out and doing street photography in Michigan during the winter months. And I think image quality wise, guys, this lens pulls way above its weight for what it costs. If you go to the website right now, I believe this lens is $5.99, but they got a deal going before Christmas. If you order, you get 2 filters. You get a UV filter and you get a black mist filter, which I think is fantastic to throw that in and reduce the cost of this wonderful image quality lens for the holidays, for those of you who may be on the fence on whether you want to get this lens or not for your Nikon or Sony or Fuji system. I can tell you right now, if it's built on image quality, I would say it's a yes based on that price. I was, again, blown away. As I go through the rest of the images as you see come across, you let me know what you think on how well I did going out and capturing some images. Now, I would not be remiss in saying that I did want to try some video on this, because as you guys know from watching my YouTube channel videos, I will capture video with the camera that I'm using to help tell the story of what's going on while I'm out doing my street photography. And I did do a quick, clip of video here. So here it is. And now you can see from that image or the video clip, I was again impressed with the image quality coming off of this lens with this camera. Now 46, 45 megapixel Z8, it's going to look to pull some images if that image is in focus. And I have to say that I think literally out of the 46 images I took, 2 were not in focus. And that's not because of the camera or lens, I should say. That was me being too close to my subject and trying to capture an image. So you're not going to be trying to get macro style images with this based on its focus. Now, I will go ahead and jump right into the quality of the image and handling so that we can discuss this and say that when it comes to this lens, and I'll put the specs up somewhere around here so you can see them yourself on what this lens is going to have you dealing with on the Z mount, is it's got some weight to it. This lens, and you would expect that at a f1.4 for an 85 millimeter lens. With the Nikon Z mount, which is pretty big mount, right? You would expect some girth on this lens and some weight on this lens. And that's what you have here. I think this lens is best paired with a camera in the Nikon line that has a nice grip to it so that you can handle the weight of this lens a lot better than I should say, honestly, on the ZF, even with a grip. Now, I think a Z9, Z8, Z7, Z6 will do fine with this, and you will enjoy using this for the image quality that you can get for it. Now, most of you are probably not going to go out and use this for street like I did, and you're going to be using this on location or in a studio or photo shoot, portrait work, which is what this lens really is for. And you're going to get some great images based on that, right? And if you're paired it with a camera that makes it comfortable to hold, even better. Now, when it comes to this lens itself and its build quality, again, I'm shocked that based on the price, how well built this lens is. When it comes to the features that's on this lens, I'll take off the well tolerance lens hood that snaps on beautifully and has a firm click. I will say I'm happy that it comes with a autofocus manual and autofocus lock button, or switch, I should say. It comes with the autofocus lock button is what I meant to say for the second one. And I haven't checked, and I'll let you know if that can be programmed by the camera to do something else. On the other side of the lens, you have a declickable aperture ring. So for those of you who are planning on using this lens for video, which I can highly see it as being used for video, you can declick that aperture ring and minimize the vibration and noise you get from a clicked aperture ring. Other than that, what else can I say about the build quality other than I like the fact that the metal was on here? I like the fact that it's weather sealed. So as I take this lens off of the camera, you can see that it has a weather sealing gasket right there. And it also has on it a USB-C port, as you can see right there. And I'll stop this from focusing on my eye, where you can do firmware updates and so forth like that to get this camera, updated as the firmware updates come out. And again, for what they're offering, and I got to give other third-party manufacturers that same type of love because they do the same thing. Your Tamrons, your Sigmas, and other ones out there, all of them are putting in the ability to update the lens with USB-C ports. There we go. Sorry about that. It makes for the ability to keep your lens up to date great, as long as, of course, it needs it, right, with the firmware updates. But other than that, build quality, guys, I have to say, I don't see anything that stands out that's a problem with the build quality on this lens. Tolerance wise, it mounted right to my Z mount, just like my other brand lens does, just like my Tamron lens do. Now, I will give them this point or this bonus point over Tamron in that when you put on the cap for the back, it stays on. So I'll have to say, hey, Tamron, y'all need to really work on that. It is a pain in the butt to open up my camera bag and see that my Tamron lenses have the caps off of them on the back with my elements exposed and my electronic contacts exposed and just been jumbling around in my bag. I hate that, you know. And I think they need to work on their tolerances for the back caps on their lenses. But SIRUI, you guys don't have that issue. So there's the build quality. So all in all, if I'm looking at the build quality and where they're at, and I'm looking at the image quality and where it's at, I'm not even gonna talk about the price. Yes, I can see this as a lens that people should be paying attention to, looking at for their kit to do what they need to do with an 85 1.4. At the price, it's even more of a look at for me. Now, again, I will have the affiliate link down there for you guys if you're interested in this lens for the Sony mount, the Nikon mount, or the Fuji mount. Definitely use my affiliate link if you're going to get it. I'd appreciate that. It helps the channel out, especially as I bring more and more collaboration type videos with you guys reviewing products. But I would be remiss in saying that I'm not going to paint a rosy picture here because that's not what I'm about when I do my reviews. If there's something of concern that I think you should know when you're considering any product that I review, I'm going to bring it up. And when it comes to this lens, and I don't know how big of this is a concern for all of you. I guess it depends on your shooting style, but it is a little slower to focus than what I've noticed from my Tamron and my Nikon lens. A little bit. I ain't saying it's snail slow. I'm just saying it's slightly slower. It did not stop me from capturing the images that I captured today. I don't see it ever stopping me from capturing portrait images with subjects that aren't moving. So, but I noticed it little bit slower to focus, whether I was focusing close or focusing a little bit farther away. I noticed that it was a little bit slower to focus than my Nikon lenses would have been. So that's it when it comes to the focusing and build type piece of it, not image quality. Image quality, this thing is spot on, better than I expected it to be. Other thing that I would have to say to you guys, as you know, I would expect any reviewer to say, it goes beyond just the product itself. It goes to the service you get as well. And one of the first things I wanted to do with this being the first lens I actually am reviewing for the channel is with a lens that can be updated, check and see if there was a firmware update. And when I went to the site to see where to go to see if there was a firm update for this lens, it was difficult to find. There was no dedicated firmware page. When you go to the support page, the way it's set up, and I understand that SIRUI does, tripod. I have their monopod. I love it. Tripod head. I have two of them. I love them. They have stuff for that to link on for the product to see what you need to do, but not for their new lens line. So they need to, I think, work on that. The only way you can find the firmware, which I eventually did find, is by going to the product page for this. And you'll see somewhere down as you scroll through the product page, you'll see a link that says firmware. And there is currently a firmware for this lens, but not for the Nikon mount. So I was unable to do a firmware and let you guys know how that fully went. But I can tell you it was a little bit hard to find where to go in the first place. And I think that's just something SIRUI can work on. Nothing to do with the lens itself. So that's a positive. More of a, service after the purchase of a product that SIRUI, I think, should work on. But with that all said, I have to say, with a slower than Nikon focus to subject sometimes, I don't see why anybody wouldn't look at this as strongly as they would look at a Nikon or another third party that makes Nikon Z mount lenses. So SIRUI did a great job on this lens. I'm really looking forward to seeing what they do with other iterations, whether that's a 50, whether that's a 35 or standard zoom. I would love to see if they can bring this level of quality, especially at what I'm getting at f1.4, to their other lenses. Now, I'll say again, I did shoot at f1.4. I did not shoot at other f-stops. So I plan to do that, as I always do, with these products to give you another review within a month or two to let you know how I've gotten along with it and whether I still recommend it the same way I did in the initial review of the product I've done on the channel. So guys, there you go. SIRUI Aurora 85 1.4. Yeah, they did a great job with this lens. So let me know in the comments what you guys think. Let me know what questions you have. I plan on, again, taking this out and doing a lot more stuff with it. So if there's something you need me to do with it, with the Nikon Z8, let me know. I'll see what I can do when I go ahead and do a final follow-up review on this in about a month or two. Have a good one, guys, and happy holidays.